Hello, it's me again, Jernine Russell, back with another episode of Purpose Driven Life. Guess what? I'm back in my swanky new home, Myriad Studios. So if anybody is looking for somewhere to film or do whatever you need to do in the studio, please, please, please book them. They are amazing to work with, making this thing very, very, very easy and very seamless. So just a little plug for them. I am back with another episode. I'm really, I'd say this, I need to think of another word instead of excited because I say the same word every time. But I am just really looking forward to, I'm eagerly anticipating this one. You know why? Because this is somebody who I've got so much love and admiration for. She is one of my little sisters and she's doing her thing. And I just love it. She inspires me, really, 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 really inspires me. And we've been trying to do this for a little while and now it's happening. So that's why I feel really, really energized and excited about it. I will find a new word for excited, I promise. Purpose Driven Life is a series of interviews and discussions with people who are walking in their purpose. And this came about because my delightful dad, aka God, tapped me on the shoulder and said, I want you to talk to people about purpose. And like I do, that child who doesn't want to listen was like, oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, how am I going to do it? Anyway, to cut a long story short, by next month, it will be 2 years that we've been doing this. So I am really looking forward to where God is going to take this. And I just love this space, this platform to encourage and inspire people to walk in their purpose. So I'm going to introduce my guest, or she's going to introduce herself. Tell us who you are.
Hi everyone, it's Dionne. I am the founder of Love Learns. I'm all about love and relationships, really.
Yes.
And just putting a light on marriages and how that affects community and just moves things forward, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, and you have got an amazing way of, you're just very, very good at listening.
Yes, I guess that stems from like always wanting to be a counsellor. I think from a young age, I've always had that gift of being able to like allow people to just be around me. That meant just having them talk about everything and anything, and it tends to be like I'll go anywhere. I could be anywhere, and I would end up having the deepest conversation with someone, thinking, "How did we get here? I've only known you 5 minutes, and we're already here." So it kind of like opened my eyes to see that I have a gift in just allowing people to be and express themselves the way they wanted to. So ended up having a bit of a career shift, which I'm still in the process of doing. But whilst doing that, I realised my heart really was for relationships and family and love. So kind of use that gift to kind of shine a light on marriages and shine a light on relationships and how people navigate in those fears, because a large part of life is connecting. So it's a huge part of life, but we don't tend to talk about it that often in healthy ways. I think we see a lot of the glamorized side of things. We see the weddings, but never the marriages. So wanted to put a bit of a reality check out there so that people know, because I know I was definitely in La La Land before getting into a serious relationship and realized, whoa, this is hard work. So just having other people share their light helped me. So I felt like I needed to give that back to other people too.
Wow, that's amazing. That we need it, because relationships are part of everyday life, whether it's your relationship with your siblings when you're growing up, or your parents, or your manager at work, or just, it's so integral to life. And to have somebody who is so passionate about wanting to help and nurture and to teach people how to enhance relationships. That's what I think about when I think of you. That is what I love. And you're even kind of alluding to my first question, which is, what does purpose mean to you?
For me, I think purpose is love. It's expressing love, being love, and just connecting and allowing yourself to be the most authentic part of you. So I think when I think love, I think self-love first, which is your relationship with God, how God is actually pouring into you for you to pour into others. And without that love, you can't really grow. What I believe anyway, I don't believe you can grow without it. So having the understanding of where that love is coming from and then being able to give that love back out to others is where I see purpose. And I think when you know yourself and you know what God's put you on this earth for, you start to love yourself even more. And then that expression starts to shine outwards, and people start to be attracted to that light and that love within you. It's working out that love first within yourself before you're able to express it out to others.
Ooh, that one hit so deeply. I've got shivers. So we were just speaking about what that means, and that I say this every time. I'm sure people are tired of me saying this, but every single time I ask somebody that question, I get a different answer. And I just don't even understand. I can't fathom how. Because in the dictionary, there's a definition. Yet, nobody has given the definition of the dictionary. They've given their own one. And I find it's quite personal and very unique and it's very special. But I think it resonated with me really deeply because you kind of live your purpose I met you on a counselling course. And from the first time I met you, we just connected.
Yeah.
And when was that course? 2019? We started, yeah.
We started September 2019.
Gosh, that's actually longer than I thought. But we've maintained that contact. We might not speak to each other for a long time, but it's just like, I feel so seen. I feel loved by you. I do. You radiate love. And I think we all need a Dionne in our lives. Definitely. Definitely. And I wouldn't even say that I'm really close to you. So I can't even imagine how those people who are your siblings and your parents and your really close friends, they must feel even more loved.
Well, when you're close to people, I think sometimes you take it for granted, but I think sometimes it's harder to love on people that are closer to you because your expectations are so high because you've seen where they are. We can see the potential within them. And sometimes that can be your learning on how to hold yourself to let them be. And sometimes it's a struggle. It's a struggle because you're like, girl, if you just went to the gym, you'll be fine. Or if you just had a conversation with this person, you'll be fine. But it's allowing them to just do it the way that they know how to. And knowing that God is working through them, regardless of what I tell them or what I say. There's something happening behind the scenes that I don't know. Only God knows. So I have to allow him to work. And it's not my influence that's going to make something happen. And even if I had an influence in it, it's not my influence. It's from God through me. I'm just the vessel in it. So allowing to surrender that and just being like, I need to give them grace in this area because God's given me so much grace and I get grace from other people too. So I need to allow them to be within their spaces and grow within that. So even I get it, like you would think people around me get it a lot, but sometimes it's also me having to learn, hold yourself, just don't do too much. Whereas before I would do so much and then like burn out and then be like, what's going on? But it's actually like you did it yourself. You should have just let God handle this one, but you tried to do God's job, which isn't great.
Do you know what's
Never
funny?
a good
I
joke.
say this thing to my friend all the time, and it's, you're not Jesus. Like, I have to remind them, because I think when you're on that kind of walk and you're trying to be like him and you're trying to adopt his characteristics, you sometimes feel like you've got to do so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you just need to take your foot off the gas a little bit. You just need to like just dress back a little bit and just kind of let him do what he needs to do.
So true.
But even as you was describing, I was just like, yeah, everybody needs a Dionne in their life. I feel like I'm very blessed. Actually, my circle is full of therapists. And I don't even know how that has even happened, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because the levels of conversation, the depth of our conversation, the kind of, I think like we just have this connection of like wanting to grow and wanting to develop and evolve, and just see things from a real kind of really in-depth. Not everybody gets that. Not everybody is like that. They're just like, listen, just leave me over here. But yeah, I love that you have encompassed love in purpose. I don't think I've heard that before. But I yeah, it feels good, and I agree. Yeah, so that's good. That's, do you know what? Sometimes I come and I do this and I just have to just take it in almost. I know I'm asking the questions, but like, and I often watch things back because I have to hear it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm definitely going to be watching this back because, yeah, there's levels to this conversation already. Ready. So I feel like you've touched on it a little bit already, but what would you say that your purpose is?
I think my purpose is to love and be love, and also receive love. And I think that's where I've struggled the most with receiving love. But I think learning to love myself first has been that like drive of being able, helping me to receive love, because I need to give it to myself first so that when it does come, I recognize it as love. And everyone's definition of love is different. But for me, I think when I think love, I think learning, I think openness, I think vulnerability, I think empathy. Like those are the things that like I hold on to. So if I see someone being open or vulnerable or empathetic or having the will to learn something, I think, oh, you're trying to love, you're trying to make a way or grow or make a difference. So for me, I think being able to love people in those senses or receiving love in those senses is my purpose, and allowing people to be those things around me and allowing them to learn how to be those things around me as well. So not pushing too far into their space for them to feel like they have to give something that they don't have, but being able to recognize it and cultivate it within others as well.
Whew, I don't know what to say. I'm just literally mic drop. What is your purpose? My purpose is love, is to give love.
Yeah.
And receive. Like, that is so deep. Nobody's ever said it. And it's like, it's quite simple.
Yeah. It is. But the simple things sometimes can be the hardest things because it's so overlooked. We're in a society where the external is so like praised that we don't really take a moment to look at the internal a lot. So when you do meet people like therapists and people actually doing the work within, it's so refreshing to just sit and just listen and know that, oh, this is actually going somewhere. Like these conversations is actually making impact within communities. And it might just be that one conversation you have that you have a like light bulb moment and then you move from there to do other things. I've had so many of those with friends where I'm just like, oh, I thought I should be doing this, but then I had this conversation and then a whole nother door opens and things have just kind of flowed with it, and allowing that to happen has also been a journey in itself. But like, it's just the growth. You feel like you're moving forward. So sometimes I meet people who just don't have those I don't have those conversations with, and I'm like, this is a struggle for me.
Yes.
Like, shallow small talk is it's a problem for me.
I'm over it. Seriously. Because sometimes I could meet somebody in Tesco, like a person at Tesco, and have a whole deep conversation. But then somebody who's close to me wants to have this little superficial rubbish. I'm not here for it at all.
I've started to learn how to do it, because I've realized you also holding that space for them to do that is also love. So that
was a good slap in my face.
I
needed to. No, I know
it is hard.
I said it so like. I do give people grace. I do have those superficial conversations, but I don't enjoy them as much.
Yeah, definitely.
So if I'm about to, I don't go out very often, but if I'm going out, those are the people that I want to spend my time with.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to come away and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, like there's things that the conversation has stirred me to think about this or that, or, oh my gosh, I need to read this thing or listen to that thing, or just, I don't know, I'm just all about those conversations. And the superficial ones just feel like meaningless and just like talking for talking's sake.
Yeah, I get that. I do get it, but it's another skill that I'm learning at the moment, to learn to hold that. Because before I used to just like, because at the moment I'm currently dating, and within dating you can't really go too deep too quickly. You have to like pace yourself, and with those kinds of conversations I realized, I need to rein it back, because maybe I'm being too much, which for some people it's not too much, but for some people it is too much. So learning to feel where that person is within that scale and kind of try and meet them there. But I just know I can't stay there for long. So if this does not move forward, it's a cut. But I have to at least give you the grace to work out if this is just you warming up, or if it's me knowing that this is where your level is and we have to stay here. And if we have to stay here, it's not going to work.
Do you know what? I just have to laugh, because the conversations that we have about dating is just like, it's hilarious. It's insightful. I remember the last conversation we had, and I just was like, I just wish that I had been like you 20 years ago. Like, seriously, because you see, when you love yourself and you know what you want and what you deserve, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
A complete game changer. And even like, I remember the last conversation was like, if they don't have self-awareness, they gotta go.
But that's now developed, to be fair, because I understand that some people can have self-awareness but still not want to do something about it.
That's so true.
So they have to at least be self-developing.
I love that.
Because I was just like, you do this, yes, but you're not doing anything about it. You're not doing anything about it.
It's like the conversation we're just having about the belly. And I was like, listen, at least I'm actually working on it. I'm not just sitting here moaning about it. I'm like actually doing it. Anyway, we're not going to go there, but yeah. And I just think, I would love to be a fly on that dinner table while you are having these conversations, because I'm just like, wow. And it's just your assertiveness. That's what I really admire as well. Because I feel like sometimes when we're dating people, because we want to date so desperately, there's certain things that we will overlook, or we will accept things that we shouldn't. And I'm not saying like you're this brutal, you got...
Yeah.
But I do think that there's something to be learnt from somebody like you.
I think with the assertiveness has grown for a long time. And I think this is what kind of got me into Love Learns anyway. I was in a a relationship that wasn't healthy because I didn't know my own worth. So within that relationship, it was showing up how I was showing up, begging for and the scraps, basically. And then when I realized you're only getting because of what you're giving off, you need to kind of reassess your love for yourself before you go into this arena. And when I worked that out, I realized, me having a standard isn't a bad thing. It doesn't write off someone's not meeting that standard. It just means it's not my person. And that's okay. And I can accept them for where they are, but I know that's not what I want for me. And that's okay. And I think sometimes we get into a rut of thinking because it's wrong, because it's not what I want it to be, I have to write it off completely. No, yes, to some extent you can, but at the same time, you need to know your worth and be able to measure your worth up to that. And sometimes some people go the extremes and ask for things that they wouldn't be willing to do themselves. And I think that's where a lot of confusion comes in. Like if you know your worth, but you are expecting more, you can expect more, but make sure you're doing the work to get to that place yourself and being able to give it to yourself first, because no one's going to come and save you in a relationship. So if you're not doing the work within to save yourself, whoever comes in would never be enough. And you need to know that you're enough just the way you are, so that when you do go out there, it's what you feel like you need that you're getting, rather than you just settling for someone's going to come in and do this, this, and this for me. Whereas you could be doing those things for yourself. So if you know how to do it yourself, if they come in and they do those things, it's the cherry on top, like it's extra. So you don't crave it too much. It's more of this is a nice partnership because we're both doing what we would do for ourselves to each other. But a lot of the times it's learning that. It's learning to build that understanding of yourself, to know what you need and what you want. And know that the needs are needs. There's no like negotiations on them sometimes. And the wants you can negotiate on. Like just because someone isn't 6 foot, but they have like a kind heart and you need someone who's a kind-hearted person, it's fine. Like we can settle on you not being 6 foot.
So what is the kind of... I'm joking. Do you know what? It's really interesting to listen and to hear, but I'm laughing because there are some people who are like, this is, and it's like, okay, but you just let that husband go. That was your guy. But because you had this kind of image of like, oh, you needed to be 6 foot, then you've missed that opportunity because you're set your thing so rigidly. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
what I was going to say to you is, you said that your purpose is to give love, but how is that demonstrated at the moment in what you do?
Okay, so in 2020, I started a podcast, which was speaking to married couples about their journey and how they are. And we had you and Marlon on, which is great and one of our favorites. And through time, it's kind of evolved into social media as well, and being able to give tips and advice and just help people with ways to understand how to love themselves and others on social media at the moment. And in the future, there's so many more things we want to be doing. But at the moment, it's because I'm studying to be the counsellor in order to do love in that way as well. It's kind of been the podcast has been put on hold in order to get the right attraction that we need, so that the next level of it would be greater. And the next level is going to be amazing. And we have so many dreams and wants and so much more that we want to be doing with it. But at the moment, it's kind of like going at God's pace rather than my own pace. Because if I know I go at my pace, I'm going to burn out and not do too much. So it's, at the moment, that's where we're at. We're making we're having like short courses here and there as well, like throughout the year, to kind of speak to mostly single women about loving themselves, and then being able to build on that in order so that they can go into relationships, have accountability partners, so that when they are dating, they know where their needs and wants are, and being able to talk about it in a safe space without feeling judged or condemned or anything like that kind of thing. So at the moment, it is heavily social media based, and we're on Instagram to spread that word. But there's also things happening behind the scenes that are kind of driving for the next like 2-3 years vision that we do have.
That's amazing. I love that. Listen, without vision, the people perish.
Yes.
So that's amazing. I love that. And I feel like sometimes things evolve quite naturally. It's like I had an interview with my friend. I don't even know how long ago it was. It feels like a long time ago. And I remember him in the podcast saying, because he's another videographer, and he was saying, you know, you need to grow and you need to get into like, you know, filming it properly and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, here we are. But at the time, I couldn't, it felt so big and so far away. But now it's here. And that's why I say I don't know where this is going. I just give it, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it.
Exactly.
Speak whatever questions, whoever you want me to have speaking, have people, who do you want me to speak to, I will do it. And that's it. I love that there are so many kingdom people doing amazing things, and it all kind of ties together. Yeah. Like there's something that is so, it's like alignment basically. When you were speaking about the self-love and the like unhealthy relationships, and it's something that is so, it's saturated in young women. And, you know, I'm about to go in to do some workshops in the prison. You know, my heart is like I know I sound crazy, but yeah, this has been one of my dreams and visions, is like to work with women in prison. And our program and workshops that we're delivering is based around confidence, self-love, self-worth, because sometimes, and a lot of the women that I've worked with over the years, it's the relationships that they're in that cause them to make choices that then the consequences that they end up going to prison, or because he loves me, he asked me to hold this gun, or, you know, I became this mule because he said this and he told me I was beautiful. And, you know, and now I'm sitting in a prison for 8 years because I took drugs from somewhere to another. There are so many stories. And I just think, you know, some people always talk about the solution of crime. And for me, women, a big part of our whole everything is our self-worth and our self-value, and how we see ourselves, how we love ourselves. And that it's like it ripples into every other area of our life. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And all those examples you're giving just sound like they're stemmed from fear, the fear of being alone, or the fear of not feeling loved, and if we could remove that fear, knowing that I am enough, I am loved, I am worthy, I am all these things would not happen. Like there will be less and less of it. Just like at the moment, there's a divorce rate is like 50% or something. I think it's 50% at the moment. And the reason why it's 50% is because people are settling for relationships that aren't matching their values and matching what they want, because they feel like they just have to have that because of the fear of being alone. And it's, if we understand that loneliness is just a small part of life, but you can also change that loneliness into solitude and understand how to love yourself within that space of being alone. And being alone and loneliness are two different things. We'll be able to to do so much more with that solitude. Because if you have solitude, you can learn what you like, what you don't like. You can learn what you value, what you don't value. And you can start to look for people within those realms, not just in a relationship sense, but friendships and even at workplaces. You can be able to fish out where you know you can like give more of. But yeah, it's just learning that and being able to be aware of where those fears are coming from and being able to like unpick at them to see, is this actually my fear or is it like what society's told me I need to be doing? Because a lot of life is unlearning. Like when you get to a certain point, your parents have taught you so much, you have to start figuring out if what they've taught you is relevant or not, because life is moving on and things are changing. So it's either you learn it yourself and like start unlearning quickly, or you're going to keep on being in the same rut and cycle over and over and over again until you get tired of it and want to break it yourself. But it's up to you. It's up to you. You have the power to do that. But I think a lot of people see the fear as so overwhelming that they don't want to do the work in order to get out of those cycles. So just continue carrying on those cycles.
You are saying so much. Like, people don't want to do the work. That's, yes, we tick that one. But the one thing that I love about you is your desire to learn. And that's what I saw and maybe that's what kind of connects us, because I'm like that. I just want to be better. I just want to grow. I just want more knowledge. Do you know what I mean? And mine is not even in an academic sense, but just life.
Yeah.
And things and resources and tools that are going to help me to get through this thing called life. Love is like a big part of that.
Yeah.
And healing and the unlearning.
Yeah.
That is a game changer. Because oftentimes, especially with the women that I've worked with over the years, or just people that I've worked with within the criminal justice system, they have learnt things that are unhealthy, that are toxic, that are traumatic, and they're in this cycle that they just find it so difficult to come out of. And it's like, sometimes when you're outside of it, you can see the cycle.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you can't. You just go in like a little hamster, keep going in the same thing. And it's only like, I always talk about perspective and how important perspective is. You know, we're on this camera, this is getting this angle, but this is getting another angle. And meaning that you'll see a different point of view of my face or your face or your nose or your whatever it is. And that just changes the game.
It's true.
Like, it's so deep. It is so deep. But it's just like being able to plant little seeds as we go along the way, isn't it? I'm not going to, I'm not saying that I'm going to go into this prison and change millions of lives. But for me, if I can just plant some seeds, and then as they go, they water it a little bit and something else waters it, or they do something else, or they go on another course. I don't know. But those are the things that you're just embedding something that's just going to challenge and sometimes unnerve some stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's when the time is right, you start seeing the seed bloom and flourish. But it's waiting for God's timing to do that, because yes, you've planted a seed, but sometimes it's going to take hundreds of other people to water it before it gets somewhere. So just know that your obedience is still going to pay off, even if it feels like in the moment this person's not doing something, but you've sowed a seed. Just trust that God will deal with it. God will either water it along the way or something else. But it's also like you've been a big change by just sowing that seed, because it's probably like very rare for that person to have even been in your like space for them to hear what you've had to say.
So true.
So it might be that they're running this cycle and the people around them are also running the cycle, so they haven't even given them perspective.
Yep.
So you just giving that one perspective could change everything. But it might take some time for it to change. But just know that just the fact that it's been sown is enough.
Listen, one thing about me, because I've been doing this for a really long time. Next year is 20 years that I've been kind of working in the criminal justice system. So, and the other beauty, because I think there was times in my career that I felt really frustrated because you can't see change. Sometimes you don't. You're working with them for 6 months or you're working with them for 2 years. You don't see the change. And that can be frustrating because you want to see the fruit of it, isn't it? When you plant a seed, you want to see it grow. But I've been able to understand, and I feel like God uses so many different analogies of nature.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Nature just literally blows my mind. I never used to be into nature, but now I'm like a plant mum, right? And I never thought I would ever. My gran was she planted mainly in the garden. My mum had plants all the time. And I remember when we was older and she used to go on holiday and she'd say, oh, water the plants. By the time she come home, they're dead. But there's something that I just get it's so rewarding to see something grow. And I'm blessed. I've got 3 children. I've seen them grow. I've seen them blossom. And there's times when you get frustrated. You don't think they're growing in the way that you want them to or whatever. But it's, you've got to allow it to. And also be okay with not seeing it grow.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm fine to just, like, I don't know if you've ever seen on the motorway sometimes where the farmer is like digging up the thing and then they put the seeds and that's it.
That's it.
And you never see that thing again. But that's going to grow into, what do they normally, wheat or whatever it is. And then you see those you even see like sweet corn or whatever it is. And it's like, wow. There's things that took 20 years
100%
to grow. Do you know what I mean? I've taken all these years to grow and I'm still growing. So, I'm okay with not seeing the end result.
And I think when you say like that as well, it reminds me of like the bamboo.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's the seed itself will be in the ground for like 5 years before you see anything. But when you do see it, it shoots up within like the space of 5 minutes. So like, yes, if you're starting a new venture or something and it's like so slow and you can't see any numbers and you're like always in minus and it just feels like a struggle, sooner or later it will bloom if you just keep on going. Like
so
just
true.
keep on watering it, keep on nurturing it and it will grow. If that's where you're supposed to be, it will happen. But just knowing that like that work is being worked on by God. Like you're doing your work, but God's also doing his work behind the scenes. So just don't push too far forward for something to happen now. Because just because it's not in your time doesn't mean nothing's happening. It will happen. Just give it time.
Yeah, I feel like that's a word. And it's 2 things that I was thinking of. One, you just said the same words of this song that I was listening to in the gym. Like I was literally, when you get to that point where it's like, oh, and it just said, keep on moving. It just kept saying, it said it again and again and again. The song was called Keep On Moving. And you've just said it. But there's the other thing, I posted something yesterday on Instagram about the weight. And the weight. Listen, I feel like maybe I need to write something about the weight. But the weight, yeah, man, that's hard, The weight is hard. And we feel like we get frustrated. We feel like it's nothing's happening. But it's a bit like what you're saying with the bamboo. There's a lot of things in the dark that we can't see. It's like the soil in a plant. When you embed that seed in there, you can't see what's happening. And it's going down before it comes up sometimes. So whatever it is that you're doing, I don't know what it is, but I feel like this is like very prophetic. Whatever it is that you're working on that you can't see the results of, keep going and give it that opportunity. And do not get caught up in this instantaneous, listen, it's like the enemy.
Yeah.
Even Instagram, like this quick, nobody became successful overnight. It takes work.
It does. It does.
It takes some failure. Sometimes it takes, starting that thing and thinking, this is actually not the right thing for me. I found this other thing and this is more for me. I could definitely testify to that. I did, I did a thing called Love Bop, and my heart just wasn't in it. I did it a few times and it was like, this is just not working. Like, I just can't feel God in this. But yeah, whereas this now just feels like he's got his hand all over it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe that we've got to try different things to get to where we need to get to. So I was going to ask you, the next thing was, what steps have you taken to get to walking your purpose?
It's a bit a long journey.
You're still young. What are you talking about, long journey?
Trust
Didn't you hear
me.
me say I've been 20 years in one job? It's not that long.
It's been a long journey. It's been a long journey. Because when I think back, like, I feel like my purpose was always there, even from a young age.
Yeah.
Of loving people and being loved by people. Because when I was about 4, I was in a nursery, and my best friend at the time, her mum had passed away from cancer, and it was like devastating for her. So I remember coming into nursery, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on. And her dad came to drop her off, and she was crying. So the dad saw me and my mum, and she was like, oh, could you hurry up? Because I know if Dionne's there, she's going to be fine. And I got there and I was like, hey, you're fine. Let's just play and stuff. So we did. And from then on, I felt like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to just be around people so that they feel better. But didn't have the language for it. But then at that age, my mum and dad decided that we were going to relocate to Ghana. So it was kind of like, okay, I need to move. I knew in my heart, that girl still needed me, but I felt like I had to, obviously I have to do what my parents say. So at 4 years old, you don't have autonomy.
No,
there's no such thing.
Not to say that I'm going to stay in England while you lot go.
So it's like, okay, cool. But I felt it. But even when I was in Ghana, I was still around people who needed that love as well. So it was like, wherever you go, your purpose is still following you. And it was like, okay, I might not be doing it for this one person, but I'm doing it for someone else right now. And that's where I'm supposed to be right now. With time, I started to recognize that, okay, me just being in spaces. So even the jobs that I had, so from when I finished school, I didn't go into uni because of health reasons. So I had to divert. So I went into college. When I went into college, there was always someone who needed help. So I'd go in and be a finance assistant for someone, or I'll go to church and be in their finance team to help there. So it was kind of I was always assisting in an assisting role. And to this day, I'm still in an assistant role, just because I know that my grace, my purpose is to just
serve.
To serve and be and not be forefront of everything, but just to serve. And that's where the love is going to be shown. If I can learn from you or help you grow in your space, then that's fine. So when I started to recognize it, I was like, okay. And I also have this gift of people just feeling like they can speak about anything and everything to me. How can I use my service and my gift in order to build that bridge and kind of still be able to serve and use my gift often? So then I was like, okay, because people are coming to me and telling me stuff. And a lot of the time I used to be the family, that money box, but for secrets. I was just everyone's secrets come onto my lap and I have to hold it for such a time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what am I doing with all of this information? And I can't go and tell anyone because people had
Trust you, yeah.
trust me, and there was some confidence in it. So I started going to therapy myself, and I was like, oh, so there is somewhere where I can just go and dump my information, and someone will not tell anyone else because they don't know anyone else, or then that's their job to hold that. So maybe I could be that person for them. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should be a therapist. And then the journey started, and I started to recognize that, yes, I was holding these things for people, but also I hadn't worked out how to give either, like of myself. Mm-hmm. So I needed to learn to do the other side as well. Not just take, but being able to give as well. So when the relationship came in, and the biggest problem in that was I was holding my feelings without sharing my feelings. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like, oh, this is where I need to do work on. So when I started going to therapy, I started exercising that skill of being able to talk about my feelings without feeling condemned or judged. And then knowing that, okay, if I can do this in therapy, I can do this at my workplace. I can do this with my family. I can do this in other areas, and practicing it and learning how to read if this is being received or if it's just being dismissed, mm-hmm. and being able to like keep account of the trust level that I've built up with this person. So it's kind of like a learning, but mm-hmm. it was one of those steps that I had to take. And it was only when I started doing a course back in 2020, after I broke up with my boyfriend, it was my ex-boyfriend. It was, I started a course called the Enneagram, which was a 12-week course, and it was about racism and how we could use our Enneagram numbers to kind of understand how we can help with racism. When I figured out my number, I realized what I was doing. I'm an Enneagram 2, which is a helper, which is what I was doing, serving, helping. That was part of who I was, which is great when you're using it for the best intent. But if you're underlining as a 2, your underlying issue is you never feel loved, mm-hmm. you're just going to crave for love. So I started to understand my love is like, I need to learn to love myself so that when it does come in, I'm not so blocked off from receiving it. Mm-hmm. And that kind of helped me understand myself and take the steps. So it was kind of like therapy, the Enneagram course, like other resources that started coming in bits by bits that started helping me realize I need to do some work on myself in order for me to be able to love others and accept God's love for me. And if I keep on doing those things will continue to grow. And since then, other things keep on coming in, and I'm on a process. I'm like a work in progress. I'm never complete. I'm only complete until I pass away. Mm-hmm. God is always going to be working on me and showing me the steps to take. So I've never said I've arrived yet, because I never think I will arrive. And it's enjoying the journey along the way, because I think a lot of the times we're told to look at the destination a lot, mm-hmm. But never really enjoying the process to get there. Like, I remember when I was a kid going to places that were far, I'd be like, are we there? Are we there? Are we there? Are we there? But now just looking out the window at my big age whilst I'm on a long trip and just being like, how beautiful is that, like, tractor sowing the seeds? Or how beautiful is it that, like, people could just take a journey like this and enjoy a trip and have time to themselves whilst they're on this trip. Like, it's just those little things. You start to recognize the worth in it rather than just trying to, like, get there quickly. Rather than...
There's a level of appreciation, of gratitude. It's like, mate, my kids get so fed up of me. Like, even yesterday my son was at football training, and it was dark, but they've got like the floodlights or whatever. And I looked up and there were just all these stars.
Nice.
So I'm like, so it's football cut. I was like, look at the stars. But he had that appreciation for the stars as well. And he's just like, oh, wow, there's a lot of them. Mm. So I'm just like, there's beauty in everything. If you just look around, look up, change your perspective, just embrace the journey.
Yeah.
And I feel like if there's something that I would want someone to know, it's like the journey is the most beautiful part of it.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. There's parts of it that's messy and hard and, you know, really challenging and
Draining.
makes you upset. It's, you know, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, I wouldn't change this journey for anybody. It's
Yeah.
made me who I am now, and I'm still evolving, as we said. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know. This one is it's just deep, and it's amazing that you can ask the same questions and get something so different from different people. So I want to end by asking you, because you've got a wise head, you know. Like, seriously.
Well.
Very, very, very wise. So much wisdom to impart onto others. So there's I don't know, could be a young man or a young woman sitting at home who's wondering and wanting to know how to find their purpose. What advice would you give them?
I think if I was to give any advice, it would be learn to be. I know in this world that we live in, it's very much about doing, having. But the more you get in touch with who you really are, the more you learn to love who you are, the more your purpose will just show up. Like, it's already within you. You don't need to look for it. It's there. But when you start to do the reflection, like for me, it was reflecting on my past and knowing that actually I've always had this gift of listening to people, and I've always had this thing of serving. So where is the in-between? But if I didn't take the time to learn me, I wouldn't be able to know where my purpose lies. So it's learning to be who you are and enjoying who you are. And then they will show how it works out outwardly would show, because your purpose is within you, your love is within you, and it's always going to be there. It's just sometimes unlearning, sometimes it's being around the right people, having the right conversations. You even listening to this podcast is a level of self-love that you didn't know you needed, but you have already tapped into a bit of self-love. So there's things that's already happening around you and things that are already cultivating your purpose around you that you just need to tap into and listen to God's voice within, and go with it, because he's got you. He knows where you're supposed to be. And even if it feels like a huge leap of faith, he's going to catch you. And if he doesn't catch you, there's a safety net definitely there for you, because there's something that's going to come from even just taking the leap. It might just be you fell and you know that this is not what I'm not supposed to do. But it's going to open doors for you to do stuff. Because I know I've done things and I'm like, why the hell did I do that? But then I've met someone along the way that's opened my eyes to see something completely different. So even the things that feel like failures, there's always a lesson or a taking away from that you can point to and say, actually, this is contributing to my purpose.
My goodness. I'm just blown away. I sat here and there were so many moments where I just have chills going down my body. But yeah, it's not often that I'm speechless. That is so rare for me. But you're a gem.
Oh, thank you.
You're a real blessing. Seriously, Dionne. I feel like there's a lot of things that you've said today that's really, I don't know, just really hit me in a different way. And also, I believe that this is going to really bless other people. And I'm even thinking about how I can incorporate this in the work that I'm going to do with the ladies in the prison.
We'll talk. We'll make something
like there could be, I wonder if we could just, because when you're in prison, the resources and the way that you deliver things are really quite different.
Yeah.
Because of the things that you're allowed or you're not allowed to bring into the prisons. But I'm just like, could we not cut and just show them the like bits of videos or whatever? Anyway, my mind is like all of these different things. But yeah, I feel so honoured that I've got people in my within my reach that are just able to just impart so much knowledge and wisdom in just a little conversation of 5 questions. There's been so much.
Yeah. And if you don't have those people, the internet's a great place to find those people.
That's so true, you know. That is so true. And this is why you need to grow, because it's like the way that I've met people has been so organic. But it's just happened. I have met a lot of people through social media. So there are good things through it. Different events that I've been to, courses that I've been on. And sometimes it doesn't have to be like this whole big old deep degree.
Yeah.
It could be like go and do like a little sewing course or something that just brings something to you, like some bit of element of excitement, or there's just that quest for something. Like counselling was something that I've always contemplated doing because of the role that I have. I listen to people a lot, and you know, and doing that course helped me to know that I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not that I've definitely taken so much from that course, even with listening, because I think it taught me to be a better listener, that course. But to know that it's not counselling that I wanted to do, and it's coaching, because I love to be that cheerleader, that goal setter, that kind of, come on, let's do this, like, come on, da-da. So yeah, it's been so not just meeting you, but just even knowing a little bit more of my own purpose from doing that course. And I just really encourage people to do stuff, try things, explore things that you've, you know, had in the back of your mind or that you've wanted to do that you didn't think that you could. There's no harm in it. No harm.
And a lot of the times that you can find things for free to do as well. And get people along. If you're scared, get people along who are up for anything, can do it with you. But even you going on your own is a huge, huge courageous thing for you to do. So don't be scared. Just explore and see where it takes you, where you're gonna go with it, because it's definitely gonna open a door wherever you go.
That is so true. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
And I'm so glad that it happened finally.
Yes, I know.
And that we just keep aligning with all different people along the way, you know. And I want you to just tell everybody what your social media platform is so that they can follow and just start to see some of the things that you're doing, because it's so enlightening, you know.
Thank you. So you can find us on Instagram. It's at love.learns.co. That's CO at the end. You can reach out, DM us. We'll definitely reply to you guys. We love good conversations. There's always a post. There's at least 3 posts a week. And that was actually from your help, actually, because I wasn't very good at social media before, but Jernine, I went on Janine's accountability class, and
love the plug.
It was amazing, and ended up getting me exceeding my target for the year. So my target at the end of December, I wanted to have 500 followers. In the end, ended up having 550 something by the end of December, because Jernine was like, yeah, you can do this, and was a real cheerleader, real coach in the works, helping out. So you can definitely find us on Instagram and reach out. We'll have a conversation and we'll see where we can take this relationship.
You know, the one thing I was going to say, right? I'm a great coach.
Yes, you are.
But I'm not as great as the person and who's actually implementing and putting into action and doing the work. So the coach is only as good as the person that they're coaching. I just need to just say that quickly.
That's true.
But yeah, I love to do it. Like I've just finished another cohort, and it's just like, I don't know. It just gives me life. Yeah. And that's when you know that you're walking in your purpose. And especially when you hear other people say how it's helped them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel so full. I feel so full. I feel so like I'm reminded every time I do this. And I told you about the sacrifice and the kind of like doing this is time, it's just, yeah, there's so many levels to it. But I really do believe that obedience is rewarded. And I actually had a conversation with God this morning to say, like, listen, I'm doing the things that you're asking me, and I just want you to keep blessing me, which he does. I'm here, I'm healthy, my kids are healthy. So, yeah. And the bit that I have to learn is the not moaning and complaining when it's not going the way that I want it. That's the bit that I need to work on. I've done the obedience, but it's because that can delay, that can make the wait longer when you start moaning and complaining as well. So thank you again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just being an amazing audience and community and making this, possible, and just having that kind of feedback to keep doing it and to keep letting it grow. And we don't know where it's going, but we know that it's always for God's glory. And that's the bit that I love the most. Like, as long as my dad is pleased with me, then I don't care about anything else. So I hope that you got some positivity, some love. You definitely got love, and that you got some encouragement and some motivation to keep trying to walk in your purpose, keep trying to find your purpose. We'll be back with a brand new guest again in a couple of weeks' time. So keep sharing it. Please, can you send this to some friends this week? When you watch it, send it to some people that need to watch this, please. Yes, and we'll be back again. Love you lots. And yeah, that's it for this episode. Take care.